Callers Bigfoot Radio.
Good evening and welcome to Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio. It is January 14th, 2018, and you're here with your hosts, Lori Hood, Lauren Smith, and Ricky Smith. How are y'all doing tonight?
Doing great. Doing better than I have been, and how are you?
Doing great. We're doing well, trying to stay warm. It's been pretty chilly around these parts here lately, and trying to stay healthy and warm, that's all.
Did you get any snow?
No. No, we really didn't. No.
I know I've got some friends that are, they're actually on an outing this weekend in northern Tennessee, and it snowed. It's like they probably got 4 inches of snow, and they're, and I'm thinking, y'all are going to freeze. And they said, well, that's what we do. Not freeze, but that's what they do on the research. In fact, he will be here, our guest next week. So anyway, yes, it's been a very cold New Year's, Christmas, New Year's. The whole country has been experiencing much colder weather than they've ever had before in a long time. And more's coming. In fact, I might even get a snow day on Tuesday. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And I want to tell everyone out there happy Martin Luther King Day, which is tomorrow. And if you're off, have fun. Any news, Lauren? Anything exciting go on? I mean, we've been gone a month. And,
yeah. Yes, we have.
I do want, we expected to be off 2 weeks for the holidays, and but I ended up getting that crap that's going around, and it wasn't the flu. What it was another virus that was just not as serious, but just hung on and hung on and hung on. And just terrible coughing, and it just didn't seem like it wanted to turn loose. And so I finally, at the end of that, thank you, Lord. And so we're good, and we're back, and we're excited about 2018. It's going to be a great year, and we've got a lot of guests lined up coming on. We're going to have a lot of new folks. And, we've always brought on the researchers. I mean, that is what our show is all about mainly. You'll notice, a lot of people say, well, why don't you bring on, famous authors and stuff like that? And we do occasionally, but the thing that we have found is that we really like talking to the people that are getting out there, boots on the ground. And our listeners like those people, too, because those people are real. They're getting out there and really experiencing, learning, and sharing their knowledge. And I think it's paramount that we educate our listeners as much as possible. And for those out there that are researchers, there's plenty of new ideas. There may be answers to questions. There's going to be more questions than answers, which is usually the way it is. But anyway, Lauren, do you have anything to share before we bring Glen on? Because
nope, I have nothing really Bigfoot related to share. I'm kind of... Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I think you do.
I do. I cannot believe I forgot this morning. I can't believe I forgot this, because this was like an awesome thing. You know, I have been doing a lot of recording and right here on Booger Hill, and now I can't because they have turned that stupid compressor on again over there, and the gas well compressor. And, of course, my bionic ear pulls in nothing but that compressor. I mean, I can hear, but I cannot stand to listen to hours and hours and hours of this mechanical hum. It just drives me crazy, so I don't even bother. But this morning, I had gone out there with a cup of coffee. It was pretty cold, and I heard 2 whoops. And what was strange was the first whoop that I heard a whoop. I had no doubt that what I was listening to was probably a Sasquatch or a human being doing it. But I heard the whoop, and then I heard what sounded like babble. And then about a minute later, I heard it again in a just slightly, maybe just a little bit over from where I heard it the first time, exactly the same thing again. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Wished I could have recorded it. But and I can tell you something. I've had no wildlife here. You know how we had all the deer coming in the yard. We had bucks, we had does, we had fawns, we had a lot of pigs. We had everything coming in the yard, and it has been just dead. There's still corn on the ground. Nothing has been here. And I said, that's probably what's going on. That would probably be it right there. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. Let's bring Glen on because he is a listener. He actually has listened to this show and was very excited to come on, and we're very excited to have him. So I would like to bring on Glen Parkison from Albuquerque, New Mexico. How are you doing this evening, Glen?
I am doing fantastic. How are you guys doing this evening?
We're getting there.
Getting there.
Well,
all right.
I got a cough drop. I'm good.
Good.
So, well, we are so happy to have you on the show, Glen, and you are a listener. That's exciting. You know, because a lot.
Actually, yeah. It's I just want to say real quick, it's an honor to be on this show because if you don't mind, I'd like to share a quick little story with you guys.
Sure.
So I had my encounter when I was 7 years old in South Carolina. We'll get into that later, I guess. But I've been researching the subject for about 23 years now. But strictly armchair research. For the simple fact that I didn't think that Sasquatch were here in New Mexico, in this general region of the United States, and so I just never bothered to get out there and do and put boots on the ground myself until one night I went on YouTube and came across this show called Night Callers Bigfoot Radio, and it was
Who's that?
It was your I believe your first interview with Robert Kreider.
Oh, that's a good one.
And
Robert, awesome.
Yeah, indeed, and as you know, yes, he lives here too, New Mexico, and
yes, right.
I listened to that show. That's still one of my favorite shows to listen to. But long story short, I would have figured it out eventually. But you're listening to that show gave me, the confidence to actually get out there and do, what I'm doing now. So
awesome.
yes, it is. When I say it's an honor, it really is. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you. That is awesome.
Thank you for
you
that.
guys,
awesome. Thank you.
A lot of people listen to these kind of shows just for, just to listen to stories, and stuff. A lot of people like myself use these shows as information. We soak it all in, and you guys are doing a really good thing with a lot of other, cool podcasts. So, I mean, it's very awesome. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that before we get into everything. Let you guys know that, yes, it is very, very nice to be talking to you guys tonight. So.
It is great to have you. Yes. So tell us what happened when you were 7 years old, because I know we have it in the description, but it doesn't really say what happened. I mean, do you mind sharing that?
Oh, of course. Let me walk you into it here real quick. I was born and raised in, Albuquerque, New Mexico, but we do have family in North and South Carolina. So before my dad passed away, we used to try to make it out there every summer. We'd drive out there every summer to visit the family and everything. This was I think it was 1990. My family that we were visiting is a small town, South Carolina, called Salem, and I went to go spend the night at my cousin's house, and hang out with my cousins for a little bit. And we got there, it was about mid-July, and if you've been in North South Carolina and in the middle of the summer, it's unbearable almost, just the humidity.
It's humid and
it's just you can't get dry, and it's just very, very hot and just uncomfortable. So the cabin that my aunt and uncle had a creek running behind it, and what my uncle did was dam off a part of this creek, specifically, for the kids to get away from the heat of the summertime, So that's what we did when when I got there, and we, swam around the swimming hole for a while, and, went back home, ate dinner, went to bed. The next day, my cousins had prior church obligations to attend to, so it was just me and my aunt. And, me being a city boy, my aunt was like, go out and, just explore. Go explore. Don't go too far, but, get out there and, have fun, And they had a lot of ATVs and go-karts and, dirt bikes, stuff like that. And so I decided to drive around the only thing that I could start, being 7 years old, which was a little two-seater go-kart. So, I started zipping around there, and I, decided I want to go back to the creek, down to the swimming hole and look for turtles and, whatever else I could try to find, And so I decided, I headed that way. And there's about maybe 3-4 yards of, really thick brush you had to crawl through before you could get to this creek. And so I got off the go-kart and I started, clobbering my way through all these branches and stuff and all this brush. And there's a little bit of a clearing before it gets to the creek. Well, before I made it to the clearing, I noticed that in the swimming hole there was this big mass of just fur, a big furry mass in the middle of this swimming hole. And, my first instinct was, oh, it's a bear. My second instinct was really stupid, I guess, because I didn't leave. I was a city boy, and I had never seen a bear in real life before. And, so I was like, oh, I'm going to be like, one of those, dudes that I watch on Animal Planet all the time or whatever, and all, oh, here's a bear, and be all sneaky and try, check it out and stuff. Very naive, but so I decided to settle down, and, I started kneeling down, and I had popped a branch or a twig or something. It made a loud pop, and that's when this being started moving, and that's, the whole situation is kind of weird. I don't know why it was even there in the first place, because, the go-kart was really loud, you know, and then plus me clobbering through the bushes, you know, and this thing still didn't move until this one little twig snapped, and then it started moving, you know. It was yeah, that was first weird part of this thing, okay. At this point, okay, as it started moving, I started noticing these two huge shoulders start widening out. And I guess it was at least a good 4 feet from shoulder to shoulder. I mean, this thing was immense. I cannot tell you, like, how, like, I can't express how just massive this body was, and it just kept getting bigger. It, like, kept unfolding out of the water because it rose these, you know, it spread out these huge shoulders, and it started straightening its back up and started raising out of the water, and it kept raising out of the water, and it kept getting bigger and taller, and I'm just like sitting there just stunned. I couldn't, you know, even if I wanted to, you know, move, I couldn't. I was just, you know, fixated and locked on this figure. As it started rising its body out of the water, started raising its elbows out of the water as well, to about the same level as its shoulders. And at that point, I saw its hands, and they were, you know, they were hands. The color was very, you know, like dark gray, kind of ashy, kind of really dark ashy color, you know, almost like a gorilla's, but not as dark, you know, the color of a gorilla's, like skin, you know, but it was a little bit lighter than that, on the palms of the hands, and at this point... Was
it back to you, or was he facing
you? Yeah, it had its back to me, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it still had its back to me at this point. And it was standing, you know, fully erect in the water. Give you the kind of size of this being. When I got in the swimming hole the day before that, the water came up to around my neck area, you know, almost my neck area, you know, collarbone kind of area. And I was about, I guess, 5'4", maybe, when I was 7 years old. When this thing stood up...
You were a tall 7-year-old.
Yeah, I was a tall, lanky little boy, let me tell you. But when this thing was standing fully erect, I could completely see its buttocks, and the water was just below its butt cheeks, I guess. And so, I mean, this being's legs were as long as I was tall.
Oh wow!
And add to that, you know, a very narrow but long waist that widened out, and the shoulders very wide. And you're looking at maybe like a 9-foot tall being, I guess.
Yes.
8.5, 9 foot tall, maybe. But anyway, so it's getting out of the water. At this point, it uses its right leg. It lifts its right leg out of the water, and for a split second, I saw the bottom of its foot, and it was the same color as the palms of the hands, and it looked every bit of a human foot, but it was very big. It used this foot, and it planted it on the other side of the creek. And when it planted its foot, you can hear it, like just the mass of it hitting the ground was just poof, you know.
Yeah.
And then it used this one leg to raise this massive body out of the water. It got on the other side of the creek bed on the, you know, opposite me, and there was a hill on the other side of the creek. I couldn't tell you how big, or, you know, it was pretty steep though. I mean, for a 7-year-old, it would have taken me a good, I don't know, 11, 12, you know, big strides to make it to the top of this hill. This being did it in 3. And
wow.
it didn't, it was so weird how it moved. It like glided up this hill. It was so effortless for this being to do this. And I to this day, I have not seen anything move like that before. That's kind of the creepiest.
Yeah.
Or that's probably the only time that I felt creeped out during this whole experience was just seeing it move, because it didn't look natural,
So it never did turn around and look at you?
Oh, no. So it takes 3 strides up to the top of the hill. Okay, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, phew, like I made it, like it didn't even know that I'm here, like it didn't even see me.
Yeah.
It had its back to me the whole time and everything. And when we got to the top of the hill, that's when it turned around and looked right at me.
Oh, my goodness.
It was
goodness.
far enough away to where, I couldn't make out details. Like, I could make out, like, details, but no, I couldn't tell you if, it had whites in its eyes or what color the eyes were, anything like that. But I can tell you for a fact that, I met this being eye to eye, and we were looking right at each other for probably about maybe a second, 2 seconds. It felt like an eternity, of course, but it just, and then it turned around and it took 2 more steps over the hill and it was gone. And
what'd you do after that?
I sat there for, I think I was in shock.
Yes.
Honestly, because I sat there for a minute. I could not move. Honest to God, I could not even make a movement with my body. I was frozen, solid. I was stunned, I guess, in shock, or, I got my wits about me a couple of minutes later, I guess, and then just, hauled butt back, through the brush and hopped on that go-kart and hauled butt back to the cabin, and I didn't go outside the rest of the trip, or if I had to, I didn't go far from anybody else.
Did you think it followed you back, or was following you back? I mean, were you fearful of that?
At the moment, no. At the moment, and that's the weird thing is because, I didn't feel any fear, really.
That is strange.
Yeah, I wasn't afraid, really. It was just so abrasive. Like, the image of this just massive, gigantic being, and just, but no, I didn't really feel fear, really, at any time. Like I said, I got creeped out.
Might I suggest something that when you're 7 years old, you don't know at that age what's supposed to be here and what's not.
Right.
Different than when you're an adult and you know what's supposed to be here and what's not.
Yeah.
But as a child, you're thinking, well, this is some animal that somebody that lives here in this South Carolina that nobody's told me about yet.
Right.
And that might have been. So did you tell anybody?
No, not for about 2 years. Well, see, here's the thing, okay? At 7 years old, my brother, he was born and raised in South Carolina. And then he moved out here with us, when I was around 5 or 6. And he's had a few encounters, too, that he's told me about, later on. But I didn't have any knowledge of a being like this except for when I was around 6 years old, my brother was babysitting me, and we watched Legend of Boggy Creek. And, I mean, as that movie seriously scared me as a kid. It literally, affected me.
And did you see this before?
Yes,
okay,
and yes, I
you
saw
this
this
before this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so this goes into the whole reason why I really didn't tell anybody for the longest time is because, you know, for one, I was a little kid and I was kind of prone to making up stories sometimes, you know, when I'd get bored. You know what I mean? And so
yes, I do.
so
I was the same way.
Right.
Oh,
you know,
goodness.
you get bored and, you know, your imagination's going wild and you just tend to make up little stories here and there, you know. No harm intended or nothing like that, you know, just, you know, little stories. So, you know, there was that one factor. It was like, okay, nobody's going to believe me. But then the other thing was that at the time I thought that there was only one monster. There was only one Sasquatch, and that was, you know, the Boggy Creek, you know, monster. And not only am I not even in the same state as Boggy Creek, but, like, you know, if there's just one in this whole world, and the odds of me seeing it, you know? And so I was just like, no, nobody would ever even, you know. And I wasn't even ready to be called a liar or anything like that. So I kept it to myself for about two years maybe. And then one day me and my dad were watching In Search Of, and they were talking about Patterson-Gimlin film and stuff, and that's when I realized, like, oh, there's not one. There's, like, a lot of them everywhere. And then I just blurted out, I saw one of those a few years ago in South Carolina, you know. My dad kind of looked at me and, you know, kind of interrogated me and questioned me a little bit. But he didn't, you know, call me a liar or anything. He, you know, I don't know if he believed me, but I think he believed that I believed what I saw, you know what I'm saying? And then ever since then, you know, if anything that he came across, you know, Sasquatch related, you know, he would make me privy to and stuff. So that was, you know, that was nice. But yeah, no, when it first happened, I never told anybody. But now, you know, that I'm older, I really don't care if people believe me or not, because, you know, this is what happened, you know, and I just want to share it with everybody because, you know, it happened. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that story with us.
Oh, of course.
It was pretty fantastic. I'm going to let Lauren take it for a few minutes, and I'll be right back.
All right.
So we know that you saw what you saw when you were younger. What made you want to research it? Was it that you saw it, or was there something else that triggered you wanting to start, you know, even armchair researching it? Was it just something that was always in the back of your mind?
You know, I was into way different things before this happened. I mean, as a kid, you know.
I'm sure.
I was into Legos and X-Men and stuff like that. Not really privy to the whole cryptozoological thing, you know. So yes, my first encounter definitely it changed my life forever. It really did, you know. Ever since I had that encounter, it's, you know, I've been, you know, really into cryptozoology as a whole because, you know, it made me realize that there are things out there that we still don't know about, you know. There are things roaming the world that, you know, we still, you know, don't know about scientifically. I mean, you know, locally or whatever, you know, they may know, you know, everything about, you know, these beings, but, you know, so it really opened up it changed my life, really. So
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
So so you said you started out, you were surfing the web.
Yeah.
How did you start out your research? I mean, what happened the first time you went out? What did you do?
Well, for, like I said, for, 23 some odd years, I was, watching everybody's videos. I was, when Facebook came along, I, became a part of a bunch of Bigfoot groups and everything, never posting everything, and, just kind of staying in the shadows, just kind of getting a feel for, like, the community in general, you know what I'm saying? And, just watching, YouTube videos by, people watching squatching videos, and I really, once I realized that, they were here, literally the first time that I ever went out to go investigate an area or go look for evidence of Sasquatch in an area, I found my first structure, like my first gigantic Bigfoot structure, literally the first time I went out, because of everybody else's research that I was watching, They gave me the info and the knowledge, to, find, evidence of this, and that's what I did. I went out there, I started following, little tiny tree breaks and limb twists and all this other stuff, that I had learned from YouTube and everything, and sure enough, we ran to our first structure, and
awesome.
and the area that we found it in is now our first primary area that we research in. So
that was pretty awesome. I mean, you couldn't have asked for better luck than that.
I mean, no kidding. And not only that, but the area that we are in is very odd. It's very peculiar because it is smack dab in the middle of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Okay, now the city's not a small city by any means, and the Rio Grande goes right through it, and that's where our area is right off the Rio Grande. I think that they use this river as a highway, kind of. They definitely don't. They definitely don't live here, in the areas that we go to. They're definitely not, making out a living there, but it's definitely a highway for them to travel from, one end to another. And, it's just because it's so close to a populated area. It's right in the middle, but there's a way out of the city and a way into, a way out of the city, north or south, and that's through the river, and that's what they use. I'm still, like we've only been going down there for about 2 years now, two maybe 3 years now, and that's what am I trying to say? We can't, the pattern I'm finding is that it's more active during the fall and the springtime, in this area, which kind of leads me to, make an assessment that they migrate, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
but
move south, or well, they're probably following food sources, and during the fall and spring, maybe when the food sources are the greatest.
Yeah.
And they may just be traveling up and down the river, going to different areas. And
right. Yes, because the waterfowl and stuff around those times of years on the Rio Grande here are very, very plentiful. Not only that, but there's coyotes, up and down, and raccoons and stuff like that. So, I mean, and not only that, but it's so close to the city, they can be digging in, people's trashes at night and everything, I mean, in our areas, we've seen so many, just, a trash bag here and there just ripped to shreds and, dug through, and
That could be a raccoon too, though.
That could definitely be a raccoon too. Yes, indeed. But it's interesting, because it's a very interesting area, and that's why I like researching that area, because it's just I know they're there. I've documented tons of footprints and structures and stuff like that. I've found so much evidence down there. And it's just... Do
you go during the day mostly, or have you gone during the night?
I only do daytime. For one, I can't find anybody else with the guts to go with me at night. But really, I believe that they're, most of the things that they do at nighttime. And I really don't want to get in the middle of that.
Right.
Definitely don't want to, interrupt anything that they're, doing at nighttime. Daytime's good enough for me. So, we've
have you ever thought about putting out a recorder, before you leave, and leave it out overnight, and then come back the next day and get it?
Yeah, I would love to do stuff like that, but the area that we have, I guarantee you, if I left a recorder out there, it'd probably be gone the next day. Just because it's a very high traffic area, definitely, especially for the homeless, definitely, because they have bridges. There's only 2 bridges going over the Rio Grande, that encompass the area we go to, and they use those bridges all the time. So. I'd really love to, if I could find some private land somewhere, I'd love to do that. But, that's another reason why, I don't really consider myself a researcher.
Yes.
In the fact that
you are.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because, I don't have the credentials, scientific credentials, for one. But
None
I also
of us
don't
do.
have... Well, yeah, of course.
No.
But, I also don't, I don't cast tracks. I don't collect hair samples. I don't use trail cameras or infrared or drones. That kind of thing. Like, I'm mainly just use video and pictures. And it's mainly just sharing a personal journey with everybody. Really.
Exactly. That sounds awesome.
Because
I guess I should have put that you were a New Mexico Bigfoot searcher. Because I think that's what everyone is they're searchers more than
researchers. We are all. Yeah, we're all searching for answers. But it's interesting because I haven't just had or found evidence in my research area here in Albuquerque. I've actually found evidence in a few other places in New Mexico, if you'd like to hear about that as well.
Absolutely.
So, okay, I guess the first place I went to outside of New Mexico is a place called the Jemez Mountains. And me and one of my friends got invited to the Jemez Pueblo about a year and a half ago, around November, December time, for a feast at the Pueblo. And so we went up there. My friend Marcus, he worked with this guy Dylan, and his parents were actually, I guess, the chieftains or what you call them of the Jemez Pueblo. So So yeah, after we decided we'd go up for the feast and we'd kill 2 birds with one stone and go squatching too the next day. So we get up there and enjoy the feast. It was a beautiful ceremony. The dances were awesome, and the food was amazing. And afterwards, we're sitting down with our friend Dylan, and Marcus blurts out. He goes, "So, what's up with the Sasquatch up here?"
Wow.
I looked at Marcus and I was like, are you serious, dude? And I thought he was gonna laugh. I thought Dylan was gonna laugh at our faces or whatever. And he looks at us, and Marcus goes, "Do you know any areas up here that have been, And I thought, he would totally just ridicule us, shoot us down. But nope. With a straight face, he looks at us and he says, "Okay, you see this valley down here where we're at? Don't go looking down there because you're going to take stuff home with you that you do not want to take home with you."
Oh, wow.
And we're like, wow. And then he goes, "But up here, up further north and over this way, you'd probably have better luck finding sign or running into one of them." And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So after we told him what we were doing, he gave us permission to go on this private land. And so, we start rolling up the mountain that night. We spent the night in the van, off the side of a dirt road that night, and we heard a whole lot of gunshots going off, not far up the road. Lasted for about 3 hours, and we were like, okay, it's cool. It's just, a bunch of dudes with nothing else to do except shoot guns, whatever. So, the next morning we woke up and, started our way further up. And we came to this area that was really beautiful. It looked like the backdrop of I don't even know. It was just very beautiful. And it was a very beautiful morning, There's a little creek going down the middle and everything. And we get out of the van, we start, making breakfast and stuff. And we noticed that this is the spot everybody was shooting their guns at, because we started seeing all these empty gunshot shells and, full rounds and stuff laying on the ground. And so, we're like, so we start picking up, the empty rounds and, the full rounds, and we, throwing them in the van and stuff. And we make our way down this little embankment, and I go one way, and Marcus goes the other way through this really thick brush that had a little game trail going through it. And he goes, "Hey, dude, come look at this." So I run over there, make my way through this brush, and he's standing there looking at this gigantic, the only thing I could call it is a bush knot. It was a lot of just very long bushes, like literally tied and wrapped into a knot. And I've never seen that before or come across it since. So that was, I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome, So we get in the van again and we go further up, and we get to this one place where there's just so many tree bins. It literally looked like a jungle, like a play gym, just all kinds of trees pulled up and laying against each other, and all kinds of X's, and just all kinds of, stuff. We found a few prints up there too, and so that was a pretty interesting trip for sure.
Sounds like it. Did you get pictures of all that? And
yes, actually, I have I have those pictures posted on Facebook. I actually have a little video too on Facebook as well of that.
Sweet. All right.
But the weird thing is, okay, so I know that this is a Sasquatch show, but I experienced. Oh, I'm just gonna say I experienced little devil monkeys, I guess, up in the Jemez.
I'm not surprised at being on a reservation like that. There's no telling.
Yeah.
But little devil monkeys, can you describe what you're talking about?
Okay, so yes, I took pictures of this bush knot. Okay, and we didn't notice it at the time or anything. But when I went back and noticed rewatched the video, the little video that I took of that little bush knot, and the pictures and stuff, behind it are two little figures. One of them is standing on all fours, and he's got a protruding snout, like a baboon, pretty much. But it's all black, except for a white ring going around the face. Like there's just a white ring of hair that just frames the face. And it was standing on all fours, and it had a long
almost
tail.
Almost like a lemur.
It kind
like
of.
A lemur.
Yes, it kind of did, actually. Yeah, and it had a long tail that, you know, stuck up in the back. But yes, it did. That's great, because it did look like a lemur, but it was like, it looked like a lemur, but with the body of a baboon, and like the snout of a baboon. You know, because you know how lemurs' faces are a little more flat.
Yeah, yeah.
But this one, it had a protruding snout like a canine. So like a baboon. I wonder
if this might have been one of the things that he said, don't go in the valley, you'll come back with. Maybe this was one of the things he might have been talking about, the weird little...
Right. But yeah, so, I mean, you know, the Jemez, I haven't been back up there since this incident. I want to go back up there so bad, but just haven't had the time, you know. But there is a lot of things up there that I would love to go back and investigate, because, you know, yeah, it's very, very, very strange up in that area. So...
Well, Lauren and I have visited an Indian reservation in Oklahoma. Do you remember that, Lauren?
Yes. I blocked it out.
It was like similarly very strange feeling. Yeah. And we were there at night, and it was very... I can't really remember or say all the specifics about where this place was or anything, but we had heard stories about it before we went there. So we were already, well, at least I was, primed for things to happen. But it was just the sheer creepiness. It just didn't feel normal when we were there. Right. Did it feel like the areas where it just felt very spirit-bound?
Just
to me,
very easy,
I felt
uneasy feelings. Yeah.
Yes, I felt like there was more there than flesh and blood animals, and it just really was. I didn't want to get out of the car, and normally I'll get out, stand close to the vehicle, or kind of move around, but I didn't even want to get out of the car. And at that particular time, I had no fear. I wasn't afraid of anything. But I had my daughter with me. She was pretty young.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to be left in the car by herself, and I didn't want to leave her in the car by her. I just stayed in the car. And that was, I don't know what I could have missed out on, you know, staying in the car. But it was like, I just don't know about this place. My heebie-jeebies were up.
Yeah.
And so... we had.
I've always trusted my heebie-jeebies.
Yes, you have to.
You know, you got. You really have to. You know. You know my girlfriend Candace, who I go squatching with. She's very awesome in that way, because she'll feel when something's around. You know. She'll get real lightheaded, or. You know, but she'll tell me, you know, hey, something's up with this area, you know.
That's good.
And you know, some of it,
Spidey senses.
Some of the times it's infrasound, and I don't know if you've ever experienced infrasound.
I think I've been hit with infrasound once.
Yeah, and it will make you feel like you want to leave, or like you feel a dread, you feel anxiousness. It's just like, why am I feeling this way? What is, you know, I've actually like walked into a wall of infrasound where I just couldn't go any further past that point. And
me too, actually, yes.
And I tell you, you know, we did experiments with it. Yes. You know, and most of the time when people experience it, they back off. Yeah. But we were doing experiments where we stayed in it for an hour or two. You know, we were getting hit both sides of the road, and I was observing how it was affecting everybody. And some of the some of the men there couldn't feel anything. Usually men can't. Women will feel it more often than men do, but there are men that do too. But we found that a lot of men don't feel it, but yet they're still affected by it. Afterwards, they would be sleepy. You know, we'd have really
exhausted.
Exhausted. They'd be trying to go to
drained,
sleep.
like their battery just got drained.
Exactly.
Do you think it's that they don't feel it, or maybe it's not being directed at them? Because I think it's probably more. To me, it seems like it would be more that.
Like kind of like an offhand, scattered fire. Just kind of caught the brunt of it.
Yeah, you would think, but in this particular case, I don't know if you've ever heard of Bear and Kumbo.
Oh, of course. I actually met Bear this past year at my first Bigfoot conference.
Okay. Well, it was a particular time when we were with Bear and Kumbo. Well, Bear and Kumbo were with me, and we were down here in East Texas. I don't know if you've heard about that story. You probably have.
Oh, yes, I believe I have, actually.
This was the incident that I'm talking about. We were at this area. We were getting blasted by infrasound on both sides. And those two in particular were doing calls. So they were the ones that would probably be hit harder than anybody else, because they were the ones that were yes, they're making the calls. They irritated everything out there. And but what was so strange, we completely got closed in on. We had to evacuate the area. So we went down the road about a mile or so, and we stopped. And so we could still hear them off in the distance raising Cain. I remember mad. This area had never been messed with before. And they were mad down there. You could hear them.
Wow.
And then after a while, it kind of got quiet. Well, everybody's waiting. Well, they're going to come down here. Well, I look over there at Bear and Kumbo, and they're sound asleep. Now, we just had this Bear almost got kidnapped,
Right.
He almost got. And, you would think after something like that, how could they go to sleep? But I really,
Yeah, there's no way I'd be sleeping in the woods after that.
Well, I know that they had a long trip to come down, and then they were up, all day and all that. But I would have thought their adrenaline would have. And I know that this was a terrifying, experience for everybody. So I know they weren't exempt from that, and I know they were old hands at it at the time.
Right.
But still, I thought that was very, very strange that both of them sitting there waiting. Yeah, everybody else was still all wound up, and they were sitting there. And next thing I know, they're snoozing. I don't think they were dead asleep, but they were snoozing. I thought, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Well,
so
I really think
about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you know. That's how you know them boys are real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That definitely sure. Like I said, I had the opportunity to meet Bear last year at the Bigfoot conference here in Farmington. That Brenda Harris.
That's right, the one that Brenda Harris did.
And
oh wow.
It was a beautiful thing. It was so nice. I was expecting to go up there. Here's one of the things. The Bigfoot community online is something completely different than the Bigfoot community in real life.
Amen. You are so right. And you being an armchair researcher, I'm surprised you didn't give up on everybody just watching, the internet.
Oh, I almost did. No, I'm not gonna deny it. Like in the beginning, I thought this community was just a bunch of egotistical backstabbers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You wrong.
Your evidence is better than mine, so I'm going to disprove it, and then, whatever, just a bunch of, headbutting, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But that's really mainly just online, because when I went to this conference, I was expecting to get there and it be online scenario, like I'm, looking around for like trolls or like hecklers, or something, like somebody there. No, you will not find a single damn troll at a Bigfoot conference. Let me tell you, everybody is there. Just
they're afraid they might learn something if
information. They go. But everybody's just there, for one purpose, and that's to learn and share information, and so that's that was a good relief for me to see that there are actually real people in this community out there.
Oh yes, absolutely. But getting back to the infrasound, I do think they were hit with it. They couldn't feel it per se like everyone else was feeling it, but it still affected them.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying now. Okay.
Yeah, I think
definitely.
some people just they don't realize that's what it is, or they're used to it. Because I'm gonna tell you, I don't feel it like I used to because I'm used to it.
Yeah.
And it could be that they have become accustomed to that sensation and don't pay it any mind anymore.
The time I got hit with it, first I felt that fear that you're talking about, that we got to go now, something's about to get us. And then it slackened off, and I just kind of melted into my seat and was really drowsy and ready to go to sleep, when a few seconds before I had been ready to need to change my britches. So,
your heart almost out of your chest.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if it affects different people differently, or it's the.
I truly have seen that it does.
Well, I'm sorry.
Or
Go
if
ahead.
if it's the intensity of what they're sending out that affects people differently,
Right.
Like if they're
not
broadcasting full throttle, then
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, you gotta also keep in mind that everybody vibrates at a different frequency.
That's true.
Yes.
So,
yes.
If a couple people get hit with infrasound, it might affect somebody more differently than it would the next, because their bodies are just vibrating on a different frequency.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. That's a good point.
So, I mean, yeah.
I remember one time we were all getting zapped, and I got behind this big guy that, he's no longer with us, but he was a big guy. He was as big, as tall as he was wide.
Yeah.
And I got behind him, and it actually blocked that infrasound.
Oh, wow.
It can be blocked.
Yeah,
it
definitely.
can be blocked. So
that
tells
me,
you right there it's directional.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's definitely directional, because the time that I got hit with infrasound, I usually videotape our walk going out of our area, because they really like to get behind you a lot of the times.
They sure do. You're right.
So I'm walking. Me and Candace is in front of me, maybe a few feet, and I'm videotaping walking down this trail, and all of a sudden I feel this I can't even explain it, but it hit my chest, and it made me stop. Go, whoa, it made me take in a deep breath, like something winded me, and I was like, that's kind of weird. And so I kept walking, and then watching the video later on, I noticed that there was a little juvie Sasquatch right off of the trail, and I guess its mother or something hit me with the infrasound to stop me from noticing that it was there, I guess, or something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then just let me keep walking. But that was after, I didn't know what it was until after I rewatched the video, and I was like, wow, I think I just got hit with infrasound.
I think you did.
That's
the wisest way for her to stop you. I mean, what was she going to do? Jump up and go, Junior, get over here? She couldn't do that.
Yeah, right. What are you doing, kid? Right. No, that would definitely be an easy deterrent because, it definitely stopped me in my tracks, dead in my tracks. So.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome that you caught that on film to kind of, and then put that together. That's pretty impressive.
I also have the pictures of the little one on my Facebook page too. So I
We're gonna have to go check that out.
Yeah, just look through my page. Go to my page. We're friends on Facebook, so just go to my page and look through my photos. There's all kinds. I've got good ones. I've got the bush knot stuff and everything in there too. So, that's how I document. I mean, some of the pictures don't come out as good as you want, especially after you download them. So it's really But it is what it is. So.
Well, I know. I'm the worst about not seeing. It's like people go, "Can you see the Bigfoot in this picture?" And I'll look and I'll go, "No." They go, "Right there." They'll circle it, and I go, "No, I still don't see it." I guess I failed at e-slots too. I truly did. So I don't know.
Honestly, there's a lot of pictures that I see like that. And I'm not. I'm not about to shoot anybody down, and say, no, you're not seeing what you're seeing, you know what I mean?
That's right.
But sometimes I do see some things, sometimes I don't, so.
Yeah, and it's just like some people have a real eye for that and can really see it. And
honestly, I didn't see, here's another little story. So, are you guys aware of Mark Zasky?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He's one of my favorites.
Isn't he out of Florida?
Yes.
And yes. So, he's very, very, what if he is a very bold proponent for the Bigfoot and what we should be doing with our time and everything. And we've had him on. He's an excellent guest. But go ahead. I won't interrupt you anymore.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Tell
us
about Mark.
No problem. There was one point where I would watch his videos, and I would not see a single thing,
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started going out and researching for myself, and I went back and looked at these previous videos that I didn't see anything before, I started seeing them. Now, what is that?
I don't know.
I think your mind.
I did not see a single creature in his videos until I started going out and doing this myself, and then I went back and I could see them.
You knew what to look for, maybe?
Yes, possibly.
No, there's got to be something else going on here.
I mean, I think I'm still on the, I think I'm still on the fence about the whole woo side of Bigfoot. You know what I mean? But you cannot deny that some strange supernatural stuff happens around these beings.
Oh yeah.
And
I'll be the first to say yes, it does. But I try to,
remain grounded with it.
Yeah, I try to remain. More scientific about it.
Right,
but even me being the scientific sort, I've had some weird stuff happen that I cannot explain.
Yeah.
I have seen some stuff I cannot explain, and but I don't. I don't really go into it because I can't. It's like confuses me because I thought, my goodness, where am I going with this?
Yeah.
It just seemed like it gave you more questions than answers.
Exactly. That's the whole thing about Sasquatch. You think they're going left or going right, If you think you have, a beat on them or something, you slowly come to realize you absolutely have no clue.
No, you don't.
About these beings, and you're it's just it's a very weird thing sometimes, for sure. But, you know, I think also it's a paradigm shift in people's minds, I think, as well.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
If you ever have a sighting, that's it. It completely changes your world.
Oh, exactly.
But I was going to suggest something, that once you start going out into the woods, you begin to train your eyes.
Right.
By getting out in the woods and training your eyes. That's why I believe that when you went back to look at videos, you had more of a trained eye.
Right, because I actually got out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because,
definitely.
you know, people can watch videos all day, but if they don't get out there in the woods and learn for themselves the way trees will look like a Sasquatch standing there.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I looked across the inlet, and I saw what I thought was a Sasquatch standing there. So I got my camera out, and by the time I focused in, there was nothing over there.
Oh, wow.
So there was one standing over there.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a tree, it was gone.
Right.
Yeah, and we don't have bears here in East Texas, so.
Yeah, I've had a few times where that's happened, where I'll see something in a picture or something that I take, and then I'll go back, because we usually visit the same area at least like once a week if we can. And
that's great.
So we're pretty familiar with the area, you know. So if I see something in a photo that looks a little odd, you know, and then I go find that area that I took the photo of and it's not there, like that's kind of evidence to me, you know. You know, I mean, what else could it be? Honestly.
I don't know. I've taken pictures and it looked like there was a face in the trees, and then I go back and I try to find what could have made that face. It'd be like a weird owl face or something, you know. Too big to be an owl, but it was just, I guess, the way the leaves and the sun, and it was like, that's weird, that's totally creepy. And so you say you went to the reservation, and where else have you gone? We have about 22 minutes left, so you've got time for another story.
All right, well, let's see. Aside from my area, the other place I've gone is we have a area up here in the Sandia Mountains. I can't remember the actual name of the area, but the locals call it the Man Caves. There are these caves that you know, early man used to live in up here in the Sandias, and me and my brother went up there one day to kind of look around to see, you know, if we could find, you know, anything really. So we went up there, and there's this huge hill with switchbacks. You know, it was a switchback that, you know, went up this hill. So we started walking up, and we keep finding, you know, I found, you know, some tree limb breaks and, you know, little sign here and there. Well, my brother's my brother's born and raised in South Carolina, so he's a tracker. He loves tracking animals, and he's really good at it. So that plays into this story in a minute. So we go up to, I don't know, we got pretty far up this trail, and it started getting dark and stuff, and we decided to head back and, you know, head down the hill. And as we're walking down, my brother stops and he's looking down, and he's like, "What the hell?" And I walked up, and I looked down, and there is this 13-inch gigantic footprint that's heading, okay, the trail's going east to west, okay, and this footprint was heading northeast, and it was right off the side of the trail, like it was trying to jump over the trail but kind of missed it, you know. And my brother, you know, like I said, my brother always looks for tracks, and he was like, I was like, was this here before? He's like, no, this was not here when we walked up. This was like maybe a 15-minute time from, you know, coming to and from this area. And he was like, no, I didn't even notice this track when we, you know, walked up. So, you know, that led me to believe that, you know, something was following us, you know. as we were making our way up these switchbacks, and I got a pretty weird picture of what I think is a little one, crouched down behind a tree, because we also found a tree that was placed upside down. I mean, root ball and everything, placed upside down, leaning against another tree. And I took a picture of that, and then when I looked at the picture afterwards, there's like this little tiny face, like at the bottom of the tree that the other trees leaned on. And so that was pretty interesting. We also had, that, but that's really the only other place here in New Mexico that I've actually gone squatching. I mainly just stick to, this area here, close to Albuquerque on the Rio Grande, because I want to figure out how they use this area,
Right.
And
have you ever been back to South Carolina to research the area where you had your first sighting? No. I mean,
I have been back since, but never, I never went out, to research or anything like that. I'm hoping to get out there soon again, with the knowledge that I have now, and see what comes of that. So, hopefully here in the next few years, I'll make my way back out there.
Cool.
So, but other than that, I mean, there's a lot of other places I want to go. I want to go up to Colorado. Colorado Bigfoot. He's got a lot of stuff going on up there. I would love to go up there, and do some squatching. I mean, there's a lot of places, but in due time, But for right now, I really like, the area that I'm at right now. I mean,
of course,
it's never a dull moment down there.
I had an area like that when I lived in Angelina County, and it was just real close to my home, and so I could walk every day, and I didn't really want to go anywhere else.
Right.
I had everything I was looking for right there in my spot. Do you ever find that it might be a problem because there are so many other people out there that you really can't? How big an area are we talking about?
Well, our main area is, let's see, it's about 6 square miles.
Okay.
Yeah, with the Rio Grande going right through it, right through the middle. So that's both sides. We've investigated both sides of the river. Found a lot of similar stuff on both sides. So.
And it's very wooded there. I always thought of Albuquerque, New Mexico as a desert. I don't know why I think that. Sometimes, I mean, it depends. Like this past year, we couldn't get in our area for the longest time because the river, flooded. And, so we just couldn't get in there for a couple months. But now, the river's really low, But it's it stays steady. Like I said, it's been actually nice weather here in New Mexico for the past couple weeks. So how did you approach your girlfriend on your interest in Bigfoot?
Well, okay, when we met, I'm the kind of guy, I make no qualms. I don't. If you know me, you know that I'm a squatter, you know what I mean? Or I'm into this stuff. That's mainly, I'm not afraid of, people ridiculing me or anything anymore. I really don't care, because, this is my journey. So, I really just told her straight out, it was actually one of our first dates that we had.
Wow.
And I told her about it.
Well, apparently she was impressed with you because that normally drives people away. Like,
no, she's a very open-minded woman, and she's so wonderful. And you know, she's been so supportive since day one. You know, she's my squatching buddy. She, you know, me and her are out there doing this. So, you know, yeah, but I don't know, she really didn't, I guess she, you know, she heard about Sasquatch or whatever, but, you know, she was really just interested, you know, she's very, you know, really? Like, whoa, like, I want to find out more about it, too, so it was really cool. I was really lucky, you know, in that respect.
You really are.
So,
yes.
So yeah, it's really just me and her getting out there and, you know, following this journey, you know. I've had a lot of, I'll tell you real quick about her first experience, kind of, if you would like me to.
Absolutely.
So the river had just subsided, you know, and we finally got out onto this back trail, and we were walking along, and we hear a bunch of rocks being thrown in the river from the island in the middle of the Rio Grande. And she was like, "Are those rocks being thrown in the river?" And I'm like, I'm not sure, but something's getting thrown in the river. So we stand there for a minute, and then we hear this huge kaploosh, like somebody threw a big boulder in the water. And so we both beelined it to where we heard it, you know, and we sat down for a minute. And we're sitting there listening, and all of a sudden I see this rock come flying out from the middle of the island and just land in the water. And I turn around and I look, and she's got her mouth open, and we're both just, you know, wide-eyed, and we're like, whoa, you know. And
was it a pretty good-sized rock? It was more than a man could have thrown, you think?
Oh no, it would definitely no. It was a rock. It wasn't like a boulder or anything. It was just a rock, you know. But the thing about it is that, you know, not a lot of people like getting in the Rio Grande, and not a lot of people even hang out on those islands in the middle because they're so just thick and dense. And there wasn't anybody around that day either, you know. So yeah, and so that's what I'm thinking. Because honestly, I originally thought that, you know, they hung out on the islands during the day. Because it is, you know, people, you know, ride their bikes and they jog and stuff, or, you know, walk their dogs or whatever during the day. And so that was my honest thought, was that, you know, they hung out on the islands during the day, and this kind of confirmed that for me, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
I think that's a very good idea. I do think that probably is it, because at least they can rest and be undiscovered and kind of relax a little bit, you know, because they're going to be aware of anybody trying to approach the island by boat or any other means.
Yeah, they really don't need to worry about that kind of thing, you know.
And you can evacuate the island, you know, like if you're coming from one direction, they can go the other side and go back across. And but I'm sorry.
And especially
Tell us about her.
Especially when the islands are, you know, are available, that means that the water's really low. So, you know, it's not like a high tide water. It's not, you know, there are parts of it that, you know, you can get caught up in and, you know, float downstream. But for the most part, I mean, it's you know, it would be acceptable to them, I would think, you know.
I know it'd be kind of risky, but have you ever thought of asking the homeless people that stay out there at night if they've ever had any experiences they couldn't explain?
I honestly have thought about that. I have thought about asking, but honestly, during the day, they disappear, which is weird.
Wow.
Like they only use that, you know, they only use that area at night to sleep in. So I haven't. We've ran into maybe 2 or 3 homeless people out of the 2 years we've been doing this. So
wow.
We really, you know, but honestly, since I had that thought, I have not ran into a homeless person. I would ask them, and that is actually, I really want to do that because I'm pretty sure that they might have seen something, you know?
Yes.
or had a weird experience that they might have, construed for something else, but it was...
Especially staying under the bridge.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many times we've had experiences at bridges.
Oh, yeah.
Here's something walking down the middle of the creek right up under the bridge.
Right.
The sound of great big boulders being thrown in the water. I've got 3 or 4 recordings of that.
Yeah.
In different states. One in Oklahoma, one in Alabama.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's something they like to do.
Right. Yeah, no, I actually just recently, a few weeks ago, I found this gigantic little, this I guess mid-sized structure that was right under a bridge. It was kind of like an asterisk kind of structure that was just propped right under the bridge, and I posted that online, and somebody posted, "Oh, that clearly fell there." It's just funny because it's so obvious it didn't. It's just. I mean, he was being sarcastic about it, but it's just funny how some people have that frame of mind. It's weird when obviously no, it didn't fall like this because for one, it's under a bridge. Like, come on. But anyway.
Well, I knew of a fellow that was. He had gone to Big Bend National Park. Do you know where that is? That's down in South Texas, right there on the Rio Grande.
Yes.
Well, he took pictures of thousands, well, not thousands, hundreds of footprints in the mud right around the Rio Grande River in an area where no one should have been. And, I immediately thought, illegal aliens, coming over, and maybe they had taken their shoes off to cross the river.
Right.
And but that's what I thought. But I was curious, have you ever found any tracks down there on the river?
Yes, I found quite a few. And the weird thing is I only find left footprints.
Oh, wow.
And they're only single footprints. And I found them in a couple of sizes. But yes.
How are they managing that? Have you figured it out?
I have not. I have scoured. I have scoured the areas around it, trying to find another footprint like that. Like the one I would find. Try to find a right footprint. Somewhere. But there's never any other footprint. It's just a single left footprint. And but that's not the only footprints I have found. I have also found very tiny, and this was very recent, and I really have a strong belief that this wasn't a Sasquatch, that it was actually something else. But I found these bare footprints, very tiny, not even bigger than my hand, very deep into the mud, walking into the Rio Grande.
Wow.
And not only that, but I also found a little handprint. Not any bigger than my index finger. Next to these tracks, and I posted that, and people were posting all kinds of other track pictures. Nothing else matched up. One lady even went so far as to say that I took a doll and put the hand of a doll in this mud, to make this print. And I'm like, I'm not really, I don't generally carry dolls with me, really, but,
Wow.
Wow. And so who knows what that was, I think, I'm getting more into, have you guys heard of the, Pokwajis or the Albatwitches or, the little people?
I've heard of them.
They're I think they're pretty prevalent around here too. I think that's what I found evidence of. But
yeah. It's very possible.
But, you know, I also,
you
know, I believe, you know, that there, that people a lot of the time throw every hairy bipedal creature into the umbrella description of a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
When in actuality, I think that we're dealing with multiple different entities. Not all of them are Sasquatch, you know.
Right.
I think there's a lot of different beings out there that we just, you know, that have managed to stay out of our radar, you know. But
yes.
we throw it all into this umbrella description of a Sasquatch, and you know, really, and to me that thought makes the world a whole lot better. To me, you know.
Well, it's less confusing because then when you run across something that doesn't make sense, you just say, well, this may be a species that we're unfamiliar with. It's
right.
not Sasquatch at all. It's something else.
Yeah. But just the fact that, you know, it's humbling in a way, you know, that,
yeah,
you know, we don't know everything there is to know on this planet, you know.
Well, I had met a man one time that swore that there were little people that did not like him, and he raised his pant leg up and had little teeth mark bites on his legs.
Wow.
And I mean, how do you do that? I mean, it was perfect little teeth.
Yeah.
And I just thought that's the weirdest thing. And he goes, well, try something. Go. Yeah, we lived in an apartment building in San Diego, and he said, go put a piece of bread on your windowsill and leave your window open.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I chose a window that was completely blocked by a hedge. Mm. And the next day, the bread was gone. I don't know how they would have got in through the window screen. You know,
right.
It could have been a rat. I mean, I don't think we had rats, but I mean, it was just very strange. Very strange.
Yeah.
And of course, I never saw them, but
right. Well, you know,
wow.
It's hard for people to come forward and talk about really big, 9-10 foot tall beings roaming around, the woods. And it's even a lot harder to try to tell these same people about, 2-3 foot tall little people,
exactly
running around the woods too. And but there's honestly more evidence for little people physically than there is Sasquatch. I don't know how
actually there is. Yeah.
I don't know how we got to little people, but there's definitely, at least there's skeletons of these little beings that are there,
Wow.
But,
I didn't know that.
Sasquatch jelly, yeah. There's a couple of I've ran across a few articles and a few pictures of little tiny mummies, that are supposedly, full grown, or old aged, that have their skull smashed in, as a cause of death, And back in the day, if you get an old person, that can't keep up with, your migrating tribe, that's a detriment to the tribe, and you're just going to have to take them out,
Yes.
Stuff like that I've come across. It's one of those things that when you come up upon, what I think is evidence of them too. It's a very eye-opening, thing, and I think it's great. I really do. I love it.
Where you're at too, because you got to think that in that Four Corners area, I mean, in that whole area right there, there's a lot of stuff. Skinwalkers and just all kinds of things, and
dogmen.
I think it has to. I think it really has to do with the geography, the history, everything to change. Just the energy of the place. I mean, look at Taos, with the hum and everything else, So, and you know what? We have totally run out of time.
Okay, right on. Cool.
We have. We have like
by.
26. I know. And you were saying, I think I've got enough to talk about 90 minutes. No, I know you do. We would love to have you come back.
Oh, of course. Any time.
We thank you so much for coming on. And at such short notice, I really appreciate that. But thank you. You've been an excellent, awesome guest. I don't normally talk this much, but I just get so excited when I finally meet somebody who's like me, kind of.
Oh, me too. I seriously enjoyed talking to you guys tonight. The pleasure's all mine, guys.
Oh, I don't know about that. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I was just a bucket mouth, and I apologize. I know I'll probably get a comment. Quit interrupting the guest, but I couldn't help it. I just had to jump in. So.
No apologies needed. No apologies. It was so fun. I had a great time, and I would love to come on anytime.
You bet. We will have you back, I promise. So
awesome.
Get out there, you and your girlfriend, and see what else you can find, so you'll have some new stuff to share next time you come back. Because you will
definitely.
Be coming back.
We're full force with this, so we're only going forward. So definitely.
Well, I wish you all the luck in the world. I do.
Yeah, well, you guys too with your guys' endeavors and your research. Keep doing what you're doing. I love the show, and I, listen all the time. So yeah, awesome.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much.
No, thank you guys
so
everyone,
much. Thank you for coming on.
You got
everyone, that's a wrap tonight. Next week we'll have Mark Newbill and Larry Ports from Beast, two very fun gentlemen to talk to as well. So we'll be back next week, same time, same station. And so say good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.